Well, Tony Elliott likes to take the glory for the Rogues Gallery team, but we all know there is very little question that the engine room, the person who's really responsible for it all, is the lady sitting opposite me. That's his daughter, Jade. Jade, to be fair to Tony, he gives you credit for a lot of the work that you've done over the last few years. But what I'd like to know is, how much more work are you doing now in comparison to when you first started in this position? And could you possibly have envisaged the scale of the work that you do now?
Definitely not. I can take a leaf out of Dad's book and say, let's start at the beginning. But yeah, so he asked me to do it as a favour during my maternity leave, and my daughter's going to be 6 this year. So I'm never going back. This is my full-time job. And again, it started off part-time, and I don't even have time for anything now. It's like all day, every day, it's horses, horses, horses. I had no idea about horses at all. And now it's just my life, and I absolutely love it.
The number of people that you have to deal with on a daily basis has grown exponentially. How have you found that particular challenge?
I'm very social anyway, and love talking to people, and we're really lucky. I don't know whether it is the horse racing community in general, but everyone, I mean one or two that they've gone, but mostly everyone is so lovely. It's just, we're so lucky really that our group of people, and that we always say it's like a family, and it's exactly right, we're all so lovely.
And the success of the Rogues Gallery in the last couple of years has been incredible. 2023 in particular, a real highlight. 2024 has been pretty good, strong ending as well, that promises so much. And you would have seen at first hand the impact of the success on the racecourse to the members, to the people who have supported this syndicate over the last few years.
Honestly, some people it means so much. We have two different types of people in the syndicate. People that just have an interest, and they might just have a couple £100 here or there. Because of the way we can sell our shares, they can basically do what they want with them. So they might just have a little interest, and it's perfect for them because they get a day out racing, and the amount of people that go racing, that we're lucky enough to have such good relationships with the race courses. There's always a massive group of us, yeah. And they're getting their money back just from their days out, and that's what they enjoy. And then we have the other side with people with a bit more money. They can get their shares in, get all their prize money, and obviously their sales money last year was the best thing.
Yeah, sharing that money out after Rogue Millennium and Rogue Lightning sold, what was that like? Especially the time of the year it came.
I was sitting there at the sales, and as it went through, and we was all crying, and I turned around to Dad and I went, Dad, do you know how much that is? And I'd worked it out in my head how much they was all going to get. And me and my sister, we don't have enough money to have shares in all of these horses, but we had half a share each in Millennium. And through that, I've just been to Lapland with my children, and I'm going to Disney next year. Oh, so that's paid for holidays that we could never go on. And it's the same with all the other members. Yeah. They've done things with this money that they would never have been able to do without it. So it's changed their lives.
One thing I mentioned to your dad, and one thing I've heard a lot about, and being lucky enough to be close to the syndicate, has been some of the tough times that a few of the members have had. And again, you're at the heart of it all with the communication side of things. And the importance of the syndicate, the importance of all the members and the team to help people through those. I mean, because people think a syndicate's here for racing, you go to the races, you own horses and all that sort of stuff. But it is a lot more than that, isn't it?
I would think if you spoke to any of our members, they would say I'm more of the social side of it, and the bills and everything kind of go on a back burner because you can imagine with all our members, I'm on the phone all day, I'm getting messages from everybody. We've had people, like Dad was mentioning, unfortunately her dog passed away, and it was on the way to our open day, and she's not been able to come before because she's had a dog, and it's just so upsetting, like for these people, and you're speaking to them all the time. Never met her, don't know what she looks like, but she's just so lovely, and it's the same with, unfortunately, we've had a lot of people die this year, and we've had a lot of people that are suffering with diseases, and it's, when you're speaking to them every day, you can hear it in their, it's absolutely awful. One of the things we did do this year, or myself, is I did the Mind online course, and I think that would be something that I would look more into this year. Being the majority of members being male and older men, there's so much mental health problems just within our syndicate, that the broad spectrum must be scary. And I personally call 3 or 4 members and check on them just to make sure that they're okay. And it's something I think we should go into more with that charity, just because it's specific for the men's. And it's horrible. It's hard to do it because obviously I need to phone them, but I just think, it's just heartbreaking.
It's hard, and it's hard to quantify how important being there for people is. One challenge that I wanted to ask you about in particular is dealing with racecourses.
How did you find that? It started off awful, really, really awful, and I had my system. My main thing in life is organising. I love organising things, and everything is colour-coded, and I must have 1,000 Excel spreadsheets. And so to start off with, it was the race courses, and they was red if they was bad. Like, I'm not going to get tickets from them, or I'd have lots of green and then some yellow. But with the introduction of syndicate lounges, that's made it a lot easier. But then I must give a shout out to people like Kempton. They just make it so easy for me. If we have a runner at Kempton and I'll have 40 owners wanting to go, yeah, no problem. And they make it so easy. And then, for instance, Newcastle, they're okay. But there's a few courses and it comes up and I just think, we're not going to...
like 3 winners at Newcastle?
I know, you'd think that they would help. But there are some places are better than others. But I do love it when it says Kempton. And I think, that's easy, you can all go. Yeah. But we have a spin the wheel as well. So I think a lot of syndicates do like a ballot system, and I don't know how they would do that. So I just Googled and did a spin the wheel. So we have the wheel of names, and people actually get excited about it, so that your name would get picked on the wheel.
And one thing I wanted to ask you about as well was, we've heard from Tony a number of times talking about his passion for it. He said it enough times for us to believe it, but you see it. You see what he goes through. You see his ups and downs, the emotional energy that he expends over this syndicate and over the good times and the bad times.
Yeah.
What's that like, witnessing it all?
So it's not just me witnessing it as well, because he's not allowed on the WhatsApp groups because he'll be off there. He doesn't see the reaction from people. So when he's on a high, the whole group is on a high. But if he's on a low, I have people phoning me like, your dad all right? Like, he shouldn't be stressed about this. He shouldn't put it all on his shoulders. But of course he does. But when he's dreaming, I have to be the one that is concentrating on doing everything else. And he'll say to me, right, we're doing this with the shares and we're going to be offering this deal and you can have 5 different horses for this amount. But I'm the one that sit there and I go, how do I work out the training fees for that? And then I'm all confused trying to work out these bills. And he's going, but we can offer this and we're the best syndicate. And I just think, now I've got to sit in the office and work out actually how to do that. Yeah. But it all works out in the end. Like, it's amazing how it all works out.
It does work out in the end, and it's worked out quite a few times in the last few years. If you could pick one highlight, one day, one moment so far that's been your favourite, what would it be?
It's so hard. So not coming from... It's a really rubbish one, though.
No.
So not coming from the racing background, my first win that I was there was at Lingfield years ago, with the only horse I've ever been allowed to name. All the horses are meant to be called Rogue something or something okay. Rogue. But I named this horse Crime Wave and loved this horse, just thought it was the best. Actually went to my first race at Lingfield and it won. And it was the best day. I just couldn't believe what... And after that, I was like, this is what it's like to win a horse race. And from then on, I was hooked. And then after that, it was Epsom. Taking so much to organise Epsom was crazy to me. It was a last minute thing that we had to, what's the word? Supplement. So I had to phone up and I was like, do you have any spaces left for a coach, like for a bus? And then I had to phone up, is there anyone left with a bus? And then they was like, you need to organise food. I was like, how do we organise food? The only thing left was Indian. And I was like, that doesn't sound very good. Oh my God, it was the best food ever. This Indian buffet at Epsom. And yeah, the day, the members, everything about it. It was the Queen's Jubilee. Yeah. It was just everything. Just all came together. Amazing. Remember it forever.
Your little story about Crime Wave is the perfect snapshot of why it's good to get involved. That feeling, it's hard to replicate it in so many ways, but when you're involved with a horse, if you're lucky enough to have the opportunity to name it, it is something incredible. And it's the sort of thing that people remember forever and ever.
For sure, for sure.
Jade, thank you.
Thank you.